Do you know this? Do you know? Or you don't know?
Oh no, I don't know.
You don't know? Ah. Okay. It's a very famous game.
Oh really? Okay.
Okay. Actually, if you have a chance, if you're looking for self-education, which is a great thing,
Mm-hmm.
I suggest you to get the books of Kasparov.
The great predecessors?
Great,
Or
yes,
I
yes.
see.
He pretty much tells about the great things of all the previous world champions,
Mm-hmm.
like not some of the other great players, right? So you'll have a good understanding what, for example, what Petrosian's most famous ideas were.
Mm-hmm.
And taking Petrosian, not the PP in the
Yeah, the
pumpers,
other
but
one, yeah.
the world champion. He was very famous for the exchange sacrifice.
Yeah.
And here, White has two bishops
Mm-hmm.
and a strong pawn center. This is game Reshevsky against Tigran Petrosian, candidates tournament. Petrosian played very easy rook e6.
Mm-hmm.
With what idea? He secures to control the light square. I mean, the point is 97, 95.
Yeah.
And if we are constrained by something as material balance, we can never find these moves. I mean, I'm not questioning if the position is bad. I'm not saying the position is bad, but it's just much more difficult to play it out. Because this knight on c6 is silly. You can't get it to d5. But suddenly after giving up the exchange, I look at this. Reshevsky didn't even do this immediately. 97, we force White to take. And suddenly the character of the game completely changes. You see that Black has a very good control to light squares. Reshevsky decided to sacrifice the exchange back. The point is b takes on a4 allows White to play c4, d5, establish a strong pawn chain at some point. So b4, c4, knight b6 allows Black to establish two pass pawns at the queen side. So c takes, a takes. In the end, extra pawn on d4 doesn't matter. And the position finished in a draw. Because we take on a6, take on b2, and that's just a draw. For example, takes. None of the sides can make a progress. The knight on d5 is essentially blocking this pawn, and Black has no issues whatsoever. Actually, I would love to play this with Black. I have this beautiful knight on d5, but it just does not realistic. Okay. This is my game. I was pretty proud of the sequence. If I would have to ask, I mean, it's never like this. You're like entering this position, you're thinking, how do I sacrifice something here? Right? You're thinking, how do I achieve something? And when I'm looking at this position, maybe you have some ideas what do you want to achieve. But I would say what is bothering me is the bishop on e5. I mean, it annoys me. Okay, it stands there. It doesn't allow my queen to join the queen side. I'm not afraid to lose the queen, by the way, but I don't see how to activate the queen. After the bishop on e5 holds together a lot of squares for White. There's bishop d4, maybe bishop d4, knight e5. So first we formulate. Maybe we need to get rid of the bishop. And once we formulate this idea, comes out the sequence. So how do we terminate the bishop? And then it's much more easier to think when you think what you want to achieve, when you input into words what you want to achieve. And it's not so obvious actually, because the obvious idea what you're probably looking at is 95, right? Of course. So 95, it makes sense, right? With the tempo, how can it not be the right move? I guess White can play, I'm not sure, queen d4, queen c5 makes a lot of sense. Oh, wait, there's knight b4. Okay, probably not like this. Okay, maybe queen c5. And do we take it? No, there's rook e5. Do we play f6? What did we achieve in the end, right? And again, we're looking at this, it's not very clear. And then we notice there's a move bishop h6. Because bishop f4 is knight d5. So he has to go here. And if he don't have constraints like we are afraid to lose a pawn, we easily notice knight e7, because eliminating the bishop is far more important. There's your compensation. After queen e7, we still cannot take on e5 because the queen is going to be trapped. So we play bishop f8. This is a forcing line. It's not even difficult. It's difficult to imagine it. But it's not very difficult to calculate once you have the idea. Queen g5 loses, takes, e5, f6. You lose a piece, and so forth. Queen h4, takes. There we go. And now we can safely evaluate this position that the storm is ended and the compensation is huge. Why? We have a bishop pair. White has major difficulties to protect the pawn on b2. And b3 is bishop g7. He actually loses more. And this also forces white to do something. So rook a5 makes sense. Rook b2, knight f3. And now again, instead of trying to hold on to the pawn on a7 at all costs, it is so easy to lose, again, the control of the game, like rook d7. God forbid he takes the pawn on a7. We simply understand that in grand scale of things, the pawn on a7 means nothing, absolutely. So what we need to do is we need to activate our pieces. Rook e8, rook e2, bishop c5 is incoming. You can't do that. Activate the pieces. Here, and in the end, white's position is very quickly collapsing, and the best he could do is enter this position, down a pawn. That's it. So the rest is already technique. So you see how after more or less forced game, from a starting position, we got to an endgame with the technique, right? Because again, we don't have these constraints that we are about to lose a pawn. Because you think like queen c5, okay, my pawn on e7 drops, so I have to defend it. This is where you're already making a mistake. So we're thinking about the bigger picture, right? Killing the bishop on e5 is far more important. Black to move. There's one thing which I feel that engines haven't been taught. And that is essentially the difference between engines and humans. There's no such parameter. Nobody knows how to explain to engines that is called easiness to play. Yeah, because for humans, this is extremely important that you find the moves, they're easy. Okay, you can still find those moves, but it's going to take you a lot of effort. So that's why often we are not only we are looking for positions which are good, but which are also easy to play out. And if we have a choice, of course, we're choosing for something which is easy to play, because if we are, let's say, in time trouble, we have like 10 moves to make, and 10 moves are difficult to make, there's a great chance we're going to make a mistake. But if the position is rather simple, we are going to easily make it. Okay. Okay, knight a5, I think it's slightly more precise, attacking the pawn on c7. And now the point is how to properly evaluate this position. I think very often this is actually another topic, the proper evaluation. Is which makes all the difference. Why some grandmasters beat other grandmasters. I mean, this is usually the case. It's the evaluation. They evaluate things differently. So, I mean, they rarely play randomly, but they enter some sharp positions. One of the players understands the position better than the other, and that's why they win. So, materially wise, we have equal. Okay, not equality. White is slightly better. Materially wise, he is up half a pawn. Because I do believe that the bishop is more 3.5 than 3. Okay, we could argue 3, or maybe not 3.5, or 3.3. What does it matter? And then we add another pawn, 4.5, let's say 4.4 against rook h5. This means white has 0.6 maybe material advantage. And then what matters is the piece activity, which seems to be about the same. And weaknesses, which is not in favor for white. So he has some weakness on a3 and c4. So that's what balances the situation. And yeah, an engine I think says that this position is even somehow slightly better for white. Yeah, 0.3 for white. White lost without a fight. Again, this is why I'm saying that engines do not understand this, right? For black, it's a lot of easy moves. B6, rook c8, target those pawns. So you need to think of how to defend it. And white just lost it. Very, very, very quickly. All right, so the compensation here is pretty obvious. Kasparov with white, Salov with black. Salov was top 3 player in the world back in the 90s. 80s, 90s. Now he's not playing. He's active on Facebook, etc. So black is behind the development. Kasparov plays 95. Of course, this is a very common sacrifice, right? I'm sure you know this. How to evaluate the position after takes, and king d8. Again, we have a list of how we understand how much is for how much. One pawn is for minor lead in development, or a center or something, or just something slightly better. 2 pawns, it's got to be a major thing. Is this major? Yes, it's definitely major, because the king is going to be under the firing squad pretty much the entire game. It cannot make it to the king side. There's always, engine even says a simple a4, a5. There's no hurry. You know what engine says? Engine says +2 for white. You're down a piece for a pawn. +2 for white. You're done. You can't do this. Even engines already understand this, like in similar examples. So I would say that this is even more that white could play this position even down a full piece. So this is like 3, right? Because there's enough pieces, the king is in the danger, etc. So understanding these positions is pretty important. So yeah, maybe it's an idea for another lesson that I could show you examples. You have to identify, is this good compensation, not good compensation. But I think the simple approach that you think that 1 pawn for something minor, 2 pawns for more or less major, and 3 pawns is gotta be something as this, where there's a super major strong attack, knight c6, bishop before, etc., where the extra piece doesn't even matter. But of course, you remove the queens from the equation, and none of this matters.
Hey, check this video out to make sure that you get more important information to bring your chess to the next level.